there's a law in this whole process that basically people don't really understand. And that is that if you let that habit go, even if you fully formed it after, say, 90 days of doing it, it can be taken away with like a third of the amount of time that it took to build the habit, because these habits are ingrained even deeper than, say, that 90-day period. This is something that you've probably been doing, whatever it is. If it's a negative habit, say, that you're trying to get rid of, right? Something that can come back to bite us later if we're not mindful about it. Mm-hmm. Some of these things are things we've been doing our entire lives or longer. And it's a form of addiction, some of these habits. It's just a way for us to feel secure in our environment. It's ritualistic in some way, shape, or form, and it keeps us kind of on the level. It helps us manage stress. So a lot of these habits I find are coping mechanisms that help us deal with, just the daily rigors, right? Mm-hmm. So instilling a new one is a monumental task, because even though the brain is plastic, and we can rewire some of this stuff, it takes an enormous amount of effort and discipline in order to do so. And I think it's a fascinating topic. And I was listening to an audiobook today about it, just about how much drive you have to implant just one new habit.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that it's fear that keeps us from maybe making new habits or breaking certain habits?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a security blanket. The habits are in place to help us feel safe and comfortable. And when we start to rattle that cage and start adding new things to it, it takes up a little bit more of our power. We feel a little bit more tired until the habit starts to take hold, whatever that new habit is that we're trying to implement or take away.
I like how you said that it's a safe feeling for the brain. Funny you say that. So 4 days ago, I was diagnosed with severe ADHD, and it's just turned my world upside down, because it's like a brand new world for me. And it's just like everything's making sense now. And the way my doctor put it is, because I asked her, like, if it's so bad, how come I made it to 27 years old and no one knew a thing? And she goes, "Are you a funny person?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm a funny person." She goes, "Well, that's a coping mechanism that you have created. It's a habit that you've created in order to hide these qualities of you." And then she went on to ask me certain things like, "Do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this?" And these are habits that I created, that my brain did this for me in order to keep me safe, which I thought was really fascinating, that the brain is that smart and that you do that subconsciously, as Jarin said. It's Jarin, not Jarin, right?
Jarin, you're right.
Jarin, I'm sorry. I just wanted to put that out there before I forget. So,
yeah, absolutely. Right. And I want to say that when you backing up to the science of it, it starts with the thoughts that then create the beliefs. So the habits that we're running are based on a prior thought, and then a habitual pattern, so to speak, of creating that belief. And then that physiologically creates the constant pattern of redoing it over and over and over again, which from how I view it as the older principle was in fight or flight. So when we're talking about survival, it was there to protect us, and it was there for our good at the time, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily for our good now. And it keeps us in a limit. It keeps us in a bubble, like the Truman Show, right? And you can't break free of that bubble until you realize that you have to change your thoughts, change your beliefs, and then the behaviors and actions, and eventually the habit will change. But as Chris said, it takes a lot of energy to get to that. You literally have to channel and focus a lot of attention on your intentions to rewire the neural pathways in your brain to create a new belief pattern. And then your body, in the suit that we're in, then acts out in a different way. And then you can become more conscious of it as it's occurring. So besides changing it, it's a lot of energy just to become aware, so that when it's occurring in the moment, you can at least have a choice of, do I want to repeat the same pattern, or don't I want to repeat the same pattern?